Hey there, everybody. It's Nikki Jordan here with Got Space, and I would like to talk about the amount of energy it takes to hold something in place that you don't often realize until it's removed or gone. So, everything that we unknowingly take care of, take responsibility for, is held there in our energetic system, in our muscle tension, in our subconscious. And we don't realize how much energy it takes to take care of that thing, to pay attention to that thing, to make sure nothing bad happens to that thing until it's gone. And then oftentimes we have waves of exhaustion or days where we can't seem to get ourselves going. And I'd just like to acknowledge that right now. And the reason why I would like to acknowledge that right now is that many things are going on. We've let go of jobs, we've let go of family members, we've let go of ideas. And I'm going to put it in a simple context. Just recently, I have a high schooler, so I have someone who is on their way leaving the home eventually, fairly soon. And when you put them on a plane for their first plane ride by themselves, right? You have, when it's that close to them leaving for good, you have that sense of what it's like when they're not there anymore. Yeah, exhausted, huh, Amber? And so it doesn't matter if it's a child, but I say this because a lot of people, even if you don't have children, could actually relate to this. So let's say you even have an ill parent or someone who's ill in your life, right? And the amount of energy that you hold thinking about them, caring about them, worrying about them, wishing for them, hoping for them, praying for them, whatever it is that you do, is a piece of you that is always over there. And so when my daughter, I put her on a plane, and she's older and she's excited to have this independence now to fly by herself. And then I had nothing really significant planned. I had things planned, but I had nothing particularly planned there. I realized the absence of her, that she is now on her own, taken care of by someone else or whatever, was a certain amount of energy that I actually hold for her all the time, thinking I'm not doing it, thinking it doesn't take that much energy. And so when it was gone, I was exhausted. In fact, I wasn't just exhausted because I had 2 late nights and had to get up at 5 in the morning to take her to the airport, but I was exhausted because I was free. And when you're free and you don't have that thing that you could call stress, you could call it stress. There's good stress and bad stress, right? There's the things that are really unfortunate, but there are the things that you enjoy that still are stress. Like even throwing a wedding is a happy stress, right? And when it's done, people are exhausted. It's the same kind of thing. And so when I no longer had to think about that and think even about, waking them up for school, what are people eating for dinner and all of that, I was tired. I was really, really tired. I accomplished nothing much yesterday at all. Shocked myself and sat there and said, oh my goodness, this is the beginning of the empty nester syndrome that if I think of it now, I can have a glimpse of what I want to fill it with, right? Because to catch yourself off guard when you know that your energy or if you have an inkling or don't even know that your energy is entrapped in something else. And it's not a bad thing. It's just a keeping it going thing. It takes some of you. And maybe people are struggling in your life, right? Maybe you have parents who are struggling. Maybe you have siblings who are struggling. Maybe you have a spouse who is struggling. Maybe you have a boyfriend or girlfriend who's struggling. Maybe you have children who are struggling. And the amount of energy just to keep everybody going and happy and life great can be tough. And then if we take into, if you're in the United States, all the energy you might have put in politics, that happens every 4 years. People get so into it, and then when it goes away, there's like this blank space and they're not actually sure what to do with that. And so it's just a good idea for us to be aware you can even ask yourself, how much energy am I putting in this, making sure everything's okay? Maybe it's more than you need to. But it isn't really that I want to judge it necessarily. You might want to take a minute to evaluate whether that is, wow, am I kind of overabundant here with my energy? Is there something unnecessary? Why am I even caring that much? You know, of course, that's why people tend to go get body work or energy work or whatever. Yes, okay, so Amber's talking about too much energy in a relationship and she's been destroying it, uncreating it. How many people have been in a relationship that's taken so much energy, and when they're done with it, then they realize I had put so much in it? But I want to put something on the other side of that too. How many people have gotten married and realize, I always tell people this, when you get married, you will see that there's a piece of you that is no longer thinking about, you know, the fact that you might be wondering what your future is like. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get unmarried or divorced or whatever it is, you know, but there's always, especially with young people, there's always a piece of them until, if you really want to be settled and have a family or whatever that is, there's a piece of you that is always unsure or always unclear what the future is going to look like. And when that's gone and you're married, people get this space, right? So that's just an example. So having a kid is an example. That's an example. Letting go of politics when the 4 years in the United States are over and, you know, and then now this is what it is. Everybody like settles into this new reality. And so when we have these, when we realize that we have been using this energy in this place, we need to give ourselves that time to let ourselves equilibrate and to shed whatever that is. So my exhaustion was a preview to of what it could be like, the transition from having a child, and I just have one, right? So I get 100% or 0. I don't get part, you know, like 100%, then 75%, then 50% or 25%. I don't have more kids, right? So when one leaves, they're all gone. And then there's that hole there. That's that empty nest feeling. And I was like, wow, I knew when I had her that I wanted to stay at the top of the game of my profession, because I would be bored just only being a mom, but that's just me. That's not everybody. I needed that extra thing that was really who I was about. And B, when she left, I wanted to be at the top of my game so I could keep going. And I have to say I've done a pretty good job, but not 100%. Maybe I've done 85 or 90%, right? I could be more. But just being aware how much energy we give to things will allow us to do one of two things. One is to take some back. And actually, that didn't even feel good. So as a parent, I'm not taking anything back, right? Maybe to transform that relationship and also to plan for the future. So take a look. You could scan your life. You could just even ask your life. That's another thing you can do. You can literally ask your life, show me what I'm putting inordinate amounts of energy on. And I kind of see, like, you know, a bar graph where they're like this, you know. I see something pop up. What's that? And surprisingly, it said my husband. I would have thought it said something else. Okay, so how much? You know, there's something unconscious talking to me, you know, something that I don't actually call them unconscious because I talk to them all the time. But that particular question I'd never asked. Okay, worry. It said it's worry. So, okay, well, what do I not need to worry about, right? I could do something else other than worry, and it would like use a different kind of energy. It might be even an energy that fuels me. In fact, when other people have worried about people in my life that I've known a long time, and I'm like, you know, for you to worry like that, imagine if someone said this to you, or you're saying this to somebody else. If for you to worry that much, you're putting so much energy in there, and that's not really even going on. So you can ask yourself, how much energy are you putting into something? And you don't have to label what it is, that is not even the energy that it needs. Okay, so this is the value of being able to sense energy, is you can ask this question. And then I ask myself, without having to label what it is, because I'm an energetic body, my body wants all my energy back. Give it back, like bring back the amount that I'm wasting. Right? So all the energy that I'm wasting, just come back in. Oh, wow, that feels so good. All the energy I'm wasting on anything, and I'm not labeling it, bring it back to me. So that is one amazing way to start to feel better. I feel it coming into my back. I feel it coming into my arms. I feel it coming into my chest. Just think about one thing. Pre-COVID, if you had one of those jobs or those ways of life, every ounce of energy that you were putting into being perfect, that word doesn't even feel good anymore. Like being the greatest at what you can be is not the same as being perfect, right? When you want everything to be perfect, it's not even true. Life isn't even like that. And so now, the COVID world has given us back imperfection, which is natural, right? There are some things that you would like built to perfection, such as a bridge you might drive over. Like you would not want those engineers to make fatal mistakes that will show up and hurt people. But there are so many of the ways that we live in our life that are not perfect, and so many things that we've bought into as the way life has to be. And I know that even in the generation of parents coming in now, people are saying, wow, counselors will say to you, kids just have too much stress on themselves. Some will say there's not enough in their lives that is asking them to step up to the plate, and this is also true. But then the stress of thinking that they have to go to some good college, or that their life is contingent upon whatever college they go to, or whatever. These aren't even true words anymore, because people create businesses without ever going to college. I even knew that when I was growing up. I had friends who quit MIT, started their own company, and were millionaires, and we're all still sitting in college. Oh, I'm sure they went on just fine. So the amount of energy you put into believing things, ask yourself this: how much energy do I put into believing things that aren't, well, I don't even have to finish that sentence. I actually did this for other people. Oh my God, I had someone in mind who I did this for. And they don't even realize, or maybe they do, but how much they're proving themselves to stay on top. So there is one thing that is kind of true for a lot of people, and that is when you think about working yourself, the old saying that people work their way up to the top of a company or something like that, and then it takes a lot of energy to stay there because everyone's nipping at your position, right? So just imagine your life not in that scenario, but your life needing to be perfect, or you needing, like you were once really amazing at something and everybody followed you. And then you feel like you have to put all that energy into being that same thing. I'm actually seeing a whole bunch of people right now, who and I don't even know who they necessarily are, but it's as though their infinite beings are popping forward and telling me, can you show them this right now? That what if you just let go of needing to be important or relevant, right? And that you just were you. And I say this because there's a lot of people who are themselves, but also important. And they find, like, when they really want to step back, they think they can't, because then they'll lose their stature, and I don't even care if that's with friend groups, who's the leader of a friend group when you think of young kids, and then that person steps back. They put so much energy into being that. And when their higher self wants to step back, they find themselves in this conflict of actually staying there. And so how much relevance, doesn't that, Amber? How much relevance is there in things that, or are you putting in things that aren't? And how do we undo and create a new way of being unless we undo in order to create a new way of being. And some of the tiredness is the amount of energy that you put in being that. And anyway, I'll go back to being a parent. Any parent, as their kid hits a development stage, and the parent not only needs to pull themselves back, but you can see that the kid is trying to gain more independence, but yet that transition is not easy for them, right? Yeah, okay, so Amber, massage therapy. Okay, you are not the only one. I have a lot of friends who quit massage therapy. And one of the things I have to say about that is that really good massage therapists hold a lot of energy for people and sometimes really enable them to come back. Now, that's going to sound not very nice to massage therapists, but I just know as a healer, I wanted people to not come back. I wanted them to have enough information or change on their own. But the problem is there's oftentimes the dependence relationship. A lot of my friends quit massage therapy because people wanted to be fixed instead of helping themselves. And that energy of fixing things that were never going to fix themselves wasn't so great. What the massage therapists loved was they loved the relationships with the people. Yeah. And so all empaths, as you're talking about, Amber, all empaths are that way. You know, when people say they're an empath, you know, the honest to God truth is everybody is. That's how we're born. There is no way that any human being, okay, because anyone who knows, if you use human and humanoid, I don't even believe in that. That's a way of superiority and delineation. The truth is every single body in a living, you know, being in a living body, you know, it doesn't even matter if you're a cat, you know, or a bug, has an empathic quality, has a quality to sense things around it. First of all, that's the way that we don't have any, I've said this over and over again, we have no words when we're born. We don't have words, right? We're all energy. Everything in the universe is all energy. And then we here create language as human beings. We create language to communicate. Have you ever noticed how many animals don't have to communicate with language? You know, your dog might communicate with language if you're not paying attention. But if you're paying attention, you kind of get what they want right away. And so everything is empathic. The problem is if you leave yourself to be that way. So in order for a baby to be able to understand what's expected of it, or to want to receive the love that it really truly wants, and baby can sense the energy, the negative energy from somebody being angry, or the positive loving energy from somebody wanting to hold them and kiss them and all of that. And so they learn to adapt their behavior and their own energy to that energy. They learn to sense and fit in with the other energy to get what they want. And then we put words on top of it, and words are really a very slow way to communicate. And so when we move into healing fields and people say, I'm an empath, you know, there's just some people whose job is more naturally, you know, working with bodies and helping them. But you know, the greatest managers are empaths as well. You know, everybody's an empath. The problem is that if you don't have a knowledge of yourself as one and you don't understand what you're doing, you can't read your body when it's telling you to stop something. And people oftentimes go and they numb themselves out. You know, they'll numb themselves out going out drinking or binge watching TV or eating too much food or doing drugs or smoking cigarettes a lot or whatever it is, whatever thing that we do. You know, you could like sew incessantly. I don't care what it is. And so then you're numbing yourself out because you're not wanting to sense what your body is telling you. And so that's why I'm really spent my entire profession for over 20 years, like 23 years or something, having people sense their body. And many of them don't want to. In fact, people will write, I know you're great healers out there, you know, I've got a problem, help me, send me energy. And that is a great thing to know that you can receive energy from others. But then you also need to want to look at your life and see just what I started talking about here in the very beginning, which is where are you putting your energy and what are you trying to hold there, influence there, or take care of? You don't have to. the greatest healers, right? It's a one-way channel. You're not involved at all. You're allowing what wants to come through to heal them to, heal them, and you step out of the equation. So she says, Amber says, what would it take to use the energy to numb and transmit that, to create, maybe we need to step away from those words. I find that, and I'm sorry if this makes a few people upset, but I find that a lot of the accessy words from Access Consciousness that people use, sometimes they get hooked into them and they're not actually really sensing it. They're using words. They're using words or energy, but it's much faster to use and sense energy. And so everybody starts to sound the same, and it doesn't mean anything to me because I'm looking at them. It's like being on someone else's frequency. They're like on someone else's frequency to get the same result, but what they need to do is be on their own frequency. So I'm sorry if that upset anybody when I said that, but I really do feel that. I'm not a big fan of people copycatting words that others use to get the same result that somebody else has, because then you end up relying on what words will they come up with, and I don't understand that at all. I've always read stuff and oh, that's cool, but you really need to find out what's inside of you that allows you to resonate with an energy of change. So back to my topic was to really recognize the amount of energy you held in something. And so let's just go over a few of them. The ones that you hold in keeping a relationship that you don't necessarily even want. You're hoping that relationship will stay great instead of just enjoying the person for who they are and realizing there's no such third thing called a relationship. That is not an existent thing. What does exist is the way you maybe respect each other for where you are independent and the fun that you have when you come together. And then besides relationships, and you can put those towards children too, how much do you hold the space for your children? So many people get bent out of shape, myself included, when my kid was younger, when bad stuff happens, even maybe now, and that will go through probably all of life. You want the best for your children. People don't really separate themselves that much. And then, even your points of view, your ideas of what society should be like, you can hold on to them so strongly. And when you don't get what you want, then people can get up in arms and all crazy, and in fact, when I posted, I don't even know if I took it down, but I posted, is anyone else's Facebook feed gone kind of quiet and kind of just a bunch of cute trees and animals and plants and food and some other stuff, whereas before it had this really, kind of crazy energy from it. It's almost as though Facebook got tired, not Facebook, but the energy of what was there was tired and people withdrew from it a little bit, right? Almost like, you could detox from anything. I could detox from my kid when they move out, and it's not a bad detox. It's just that all that energy kept in those molecular bonds of a relationship, the wavelength you have, where you go into someone else's world. You go into a result that you want to have happen, right? And so if we withdraw ourselves, if we pull our energy back into our body from everywhere we're trying to influence, that's a good one. Everything that you're trying to influence, draw, and you don't have to label it. If it shows up, a picture, that's fine, but don't go looking for it. Everywhere that I am existing, that I have sent my energy out there, that I've tried to influence or hold the same, right? What if you're out there putting all that energy into something, trying to hold it the same, and it's trying to change, but maybe there's 1,000 people there, trying to get a particular result out of something when that actual something wants to change? Do you understand? That would be a lot of wasted energy. It would be trying to create an outcome that didn't want to happen. Like the outcome came and went, right? Sometimes things show up in life to reveal something to us, to show us something that we hadn't seen before, or in a way that we hadn't seen it before, or someone shows up in our life to add to our life, to give us something that we needed then. And then they're still added to us, but they move on, right? And if you're trying to hold on to that, then that means that you don't actually understand what it was. And it's the same thing. It's like giving energetic chains to something that wants to leave. And so imagine I was working with that person on the other side, and I would have to ask them, is there something holding you back? And they would say yes, because they would sense, their body would sense there was something there. They don't have to define what it is. And then we'd have to go through the process of unchaining it. And that would be, for me as a facilitator, I'd have to work with the thing that was chaining it, not just them, because they can do that work. But how many hooks do we have? What I felt in the last week is the hooks were coming out. Everything was getting unhooked. All these points of view were unhooking, and all the righteousness and everything was maybe disappearing. So anything like that is where you put your energy and you hold it into place. What if you didn't need to destroy and uncreate anything? What if you could just get rid of the hooks? I don't even know if Amber's still here, but what if you could just get rid of the hooks? And then there's no destroying and uncreating, because the hooks are the thing that's still there. It's as though you watch yourself unhook from things. So anyway, I don't know if this helped you, but I was really noticing, it was so palpable to me and almost pathetic, but actually really revealing, and made me glad to remember it, not just to have experienced it, because it's not just the first time I've done that. But then when I put my daughter on that plane, her first plane ride by herself, and those of you who know us know we've traveled all over the world a lot. So she's actually been in the airport a good part of her childhood. But she had never actually just gone on by herself. And she had traveled during COVID, so she was aware of that. But letting something go. If it comes back to you, it's yours. If it doesn't, it never was. Or if it doesn't, it's done. Right? So the time that you have with something is not necessarily forever. Right? So if you let it just be, you don't have to have your energy in there anymore. Right? Let it be. What if those were our words right now? Just let it be. And as soon as I say that, I feel all the energy of the things that have been waiting for my attention, that I've actually not given it because I put my energy somewhere else. So I hope this helped you a bit, because this is an okay time. It is an okay transition when this happens. Everything that you can let go of. You can let go of so much. And then instead of just being tired and thinking it's exhaustion, what if it's, just the recovery from that? What if it's the recovery from the amount of energy that you spent there? Just like if you got a deep massage, right? If you got a deep massage and then your muscles relaxed, it's kind of the same thing. Not even kind of, it is. And so as we re-equilibrate and get our energy back, we can use it for different things. And what has been waiting for us? What is waiting for us that we're not willing, or we haven't been willing to notice because we've been so wrapped up in something else? Okay, you have a nice day, and let me know if this helped you. Bye-bye.